Hi, everyone. So I'm Shira, and I'm a kind of a dinosaur, actually. I've joined Microsoft 11 years ago as a software engineer, and somewhere along the path, I moved to the product side. In my first position as a product owner at Microsoft, I used to own an app called We're In, and that was in 2011. This is We're In. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Looks familiar? Wasn't expecting anything else. As you understand, it wasn't a huge hit. So We're In was a real-time location sharing application. Let's say we need to meet. I'm picking someone up. We're planning a picnic in the park. We're In allows sharing our location in real time and actually seeing everyone moving on the map on real time. So it's much easier to meet. So it wasn't a huge success, but maybe it looks familiar. And maybe because 6 years later, in 2017, WhatsApp shipped exactly the same feature. And it worked out pretty much better for them. So we can have a long conversation about why it worked for them and didn't work for us, but actually there's one main reason. We tried to create a new habit for our users. Our users, when they need to share location, let's say they need to do it once a month. It means that in this one time a month, they need to remember they have this app and actually go and use it. And this is a pretty big challenge. WhatsApp didn't need to create a new habit. Their users are already there today when they are planning to meet and organizing something. So it makes a lot of sense to allow them to share location in just 2 clicks. I believe we don't need to create new habits. We need to leverage existing ones, especially in today's world where everyone is so busy. There's a lot of communication going on. We have a lot of devices, tons of applications, and endless notifications. We switch from one device and one app to another every time. We do a lot of context switching, and we're way too lazy to learn anything new. A research from 2017 showed that an average user has 100 applications installed on his phone. But on a day, he will launch only 9 of them. Being this one additional app that they're going to launch, that's a real tough problem. Actually, creating this one new habit is a real challenge for us. Let's take another example, which is a bit more recent, and actually much more related to what we're talking about here. And this is the Cortana bot in Skype. This is a project that we started working on around 3 years ago and shipped around 2 years ago. Does everyone know what Cortana is? So I guess most of you do, because it is the Chatbot Summit. But Cortana is Microsoft's digital personal assistant. She's available on different platforms and devices, and different apps. And 3 years ago, we decided to bring Cortana to Skype as a bot. So you could go to Skype and chat with Cortana, ask her questions, ask her to help find information, remind you of things. And it was pretty nice. We've made some headlines. We've actually seen some usage. But it wasn't a big hit. We realized that our users are used to searching for information in other places, not in Skype. And then we shipped a new feature, which we call Smart Suggestions. And this could be a few types of suggestions. Like you could see here, Smart Replies. So I don't have to click and type the whole reply, especially for mobile. It's very helpful. I can choose one of those Smart Reply suggestions. Or even action suggestions that are very smart. Like here, Cortana can understand that someone is asking me to do something, and she suggests to create a reminder in just 1 click. She can also understand that we're talking about going to the movies, for example, and show me information about the relevant movie without me even asking for that. So it saves me the need to close Skype, go to another app, search for the movie, learn whatever I want to learn about it, and then go back to Skype to finish the conversation. So we were actually leveraging an existing habit because users are already there. They're already chatting there. And we provide the value on top of the chat. We don't need them to learn anything new or go somewhere else. And actually, it worked out pretty well. And pretty quickly, we went from 150K users to over 2 million. So what am I saying here? Am I telling you not to create any new applications or products? Am I saying to only add new features to existing apps, or if you have a startup that works on a new product, you can close it tomorrow? Well, that's not what I'm saying, but that's just one example. What I am saying is that we need to know how to zoom out. We need to think about our users and where they are when we can help them and provide value. How can we leverage their existing flow and add value to that and help them without asking them to learn anything new? So actually, when you think about it, we used to teach people how to talk to computers. Raise your hand if you were one of those kids who friends invite over to set up their PC, the printer, fix some kind of a problem. So I was that kid as well. And it wasn't that easy back then. Not everyone knew how to do that. But today, it's much easier. A lot of people know how to do that. It's getting easier and easier, and it's no longer a problem. So today we're actually using computers how to talk to people in the way that's more natural to them. One good example is exactly what we're talking about here, which is chatbots. And another good example that is also discussed here today is voice UX. Voice UX is so natural and intuitive that even my son, when he was 18 months old, sorry, he didn't know how to say mommy, Ima, but he already tried to say Google. Okay, Google. So we already know that this is definitely happening. It's just a question of when it's going to happen. Will it take 8 years, 5 years, 2? It's also a question of who's going to do that. Already today, there's a lot of competition in this area, both from big companies and smaller ones. By the way, I have all of these at home. Our team in Cortana currently focuses on voice skills for Teams, which will allow Teams users to perform actions easily and hands-free, like calling, messaging, joining meetings, presenting files, even sharing the files. And we believe this is the path that we need to pave in order to allow Cortana win this battle. Thank you. I promised I'll be quick, so we probably have time for questions, if there are any questions. Yeah. What is the future of Cortana? So currently our focus is around the work environment and how Cortana can help there, which I believe is really the right focus for Microsoft, because that's where Microsoft is the strongest. And we have a lot of users that are very engaged with Microsoft products and platforms in these areas. So we are working to see how Cortana can help in those environments. And Cortana Voice Skills in Teams is one example, because people are using Teams in their workplace. They're using it to manage meetings, to call people, to chat with each other, to share files. And we want them to be able to do that very quickly and hands-free, especially if you think about conference room devices or mobile devices, even in desktop, but it's probably less relevant for now. Yeah. Are the skills here to stay, you ask? Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sorry? In which regions? Yeah, that's an interesting question. As you probably understand, that's a tough problem to handle, and every new language that we want to add takes a lot of work. So we're starting with nailing down that in ENUS, like English-based regions, and also looking at English in other markets. Where, I mean, we're working in English all the time, even here in Israel, when we're using Microsoft services and products. So this is another area that we were looking at, like as the second priority, because doing voice skills for Israelis or doing voice skills for Chinese or people in India is pretty different than doing voice skills for Americans speaking English. So we're starting from that. Yeah. Yeah, so privacy is actually a very big issue, especially when you look at companies and work-related environments, because compliance is something that's very important to companies that are adding Microsoft services and Cortana as well. So we have a lot of discussions around privacy, about not saving data. It's actually a big challenge for the development team and for the product team, because it's much more difficult to know what happened to users, and if they failed, understand why a scenario failed, and how can we improve. But privacy is a real big focus. I hope that. Okay, thank you.